Hello everyone and welcome to the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass, sponsored by SimQuips. And tonight we are in Germany, round 3 of the series here at the Nürburgring GP circuit. I'm your host Roy Waller, and tonight, first let's have a look as our Porsche Cups are on their formation, or on their outlap, ready to start qualifying. We can have a look at the standings for the Porsche Cups, and it is Joe Wilson leading the way. More points than that. Let's refresh that. That isn't full standing. Okay, I think something might be been taken into account here, as Joe Wilson has 110 points, followed by Johan Left on 100 points. On to me. Alas, we will move on and we will head into first time laps of qualifying, and it is Raj Fahir who will dive on board with, as he is the first car to enter onto a flying lap. Through the arena section he goes, out and down into a part that will be unfamiliar to drivers only versed with the 24-hour circuit, as he gets a big snap of oversteer, just getting 2 wheels out onto the curb there, unsettling the car well to catch it. That could have been a very painful trip into the barrier. And down towards the hairpin. Start of the second sector of this racetrack, and up towards the Schumacher S's. A little bit more in control there, so struggling to get off the curb on entry, but smoothly through the S's. Press the hill and start to head our way back down towards again. Another snap there for Fahir as he fights the car through this section of the track. Into final chicane, hopping over the apex curve and round the final corner. Ooh, barely missing pit wall, cutting every single part of the track he possibly can as he crosses the line. A vision of hole, but swiftly beaten by both our 2 championship contenders, Johan Left and Joe Wilson. They both set rapid times, and I do not have a livery for Left tonight. What has happened there? That is unfortunate. Let's see if we can do something about that before the race gets underway, because Left has put in some effort there to have a custom livery. At least I hope that's what's happened, and he isn't just running a blank carbon livery. That would be bad. There's Joe Wilson, P2 at the moment. Thanks for the second off of Johan Left. Definitely not a insurmountable challenge. Not really fast in the first 2 sectors, so potentially just his final sector that's letting down Joe Wilson at the moment. And not far behind a pair of them is Matthew Parry. These 3 really the class of the field of the course of this season. As Matthew Parry will be, fortunately, it won't be the first of our top 3 to sit there next time. That will be Joe Wilson, who's going down now towards the chicane. We're going to have a flurry of activity at the top of our standings. Is Joe Wilson, followed by Johan Left and Matthew Parry. Order. As Johan Left, I think, has just skipped over the chicane, has invalidated his lap, and Joe Wilson jumps up to the top of the timing tower as Matthew Parry jumps up into P2. Johan left with that mistake. Cutting the track at the chicane means he didn't get to set that time, which could have been good enough for pole position. We'll have to get out there and do that all over again. John Sawyer sitting down in P5 at the moment. Going to cross the line and jumps ahead of Balazs Fahir. Now up to 4. In P7 we have got Slavik Klinger. He's currently heading into the second sector, sitting on a 1:58.8. And 1.8 seconds off of our poles or provisional pole sitter, Joe Wilson, but being caught or is just slightly faster than Maya Van Dijk in P8. I find plenty of time in this lap and could be challenging some of the cars ahead. As Jens Nielsen has got in amongst our top 3, only sitting on a 1:57.4. Expect to see Nielsen jumped by Leff as he brings this lap to a close. Is going faster at the moment. And P6 we've got Lars Ellers, who looked like they were very wide there through the arena section. Only sitting on a 1:58.4. 1.3 seconds off the pace. As Joe Wilson has invalidated this lap. I'm not sure if they've had a slight incident there. It's looking to be a very long lap time. As Matthew Parry gets himself on the top of the timing sheet for now. A 1:56.877. The first of our drivers to get into the 1:56s. As Johan Leff gets himself back into the top 3 positions. And this is going to be the final lap for a lot of our drivers now who are going on to their next lap. But we'll keep an eye on our top 3 as both Matthew Parry and Joe Wilson have invalidated their final attempts at a lap. As Jerome Eckard is still sitting in P8. Balazs Fahir has slipped down into P9. There's Viridius Partas in P10. Right. We have Frontimore in the pit lane with the Mr. Blobby livery of Ewan Topley, currently sitting in P13. Then there's Nitro in P14 with Prix in P15 with his stolen livery. Yellow Brishnik in P16 with Jordi Cano in P17. We'll turn our attention back to front of the field as Johan Leff, with just the chicane and the final corner to go, throwing it through there, needs to find about 2.5 tenths if he wants to challenge Joe Wilson for P2, and more still if he wants to challenge Matthew Parry for that pole position. I don't quite think it's going to be enough. It's close. In the end, just off by 7/100ths of a second from Joe Wilson. And Johan Leff will have to make do with P3 on the grid tonight as our BMW TCX cars take to the track. And they are being led by last time out race winner Oscar Yaram. As Yaram takes us round the outlap. We have some time to take a look at the TCX standings, and it is Oscar Yaram leading the way, well, joint leading the way with Andre Thierry. Worth bearing in mind that we do have drop rounds enabled for this championship. This is why we're only seeing maximum points being 110 at the moment. They have had their lowest standing score removed, so that's why we can see Oscar Yaram and Andre Thierry tied on 110 points, both with a win apiece. Callum Scotland, with a best finish of P2, is in P3 in the standings. And then obviously behind is Marco Lorenzo, Anthony Victor Chappelle, Magnus Mortensen, Max Davies, Kurt Odinson, Odin Schricker, and in P10, Lennon Bromfield. We turn our attention back to the TCXs as Oscar Yaram leads back around down the hill. Certainly a long lap for these TCX cars here at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Very long straights and not a lot of power to these little touring cars. As Yaram brings us around final two corners, we can dive on board for the first flying lap in the BMWs. Again, worth reminding everyone, these TCX cars, they do take a little bit of time to build up their tyre temperatures, build up the grip. So the first flying lap times we see aren't going to be at all representative of the overall pace in these cars. But the drivers are going to want to get in an early banker, especially considering how long this lap is in these TCX cars. Only going to be a chance for about 3 laps, 4 laps potentially for each of these drivers. It's going to be down to who can deliver under pressure. Yaram just struggling for a bit of grip there, running slightly wide of the apex, taking the apex curb on the downhill hairpin, using plenty of the AstroTurfed apex, also exit curb. Run down to the tightest corner on the track, tracing the apex around, again using the Astro curve on the exit as we ascend through the Schumacher S's. Just about keeping it within track limits there. I think Yaram a little bit over greedy with the throttle. Ascend the hill, very long run down towards the chicane. This is going to be part of the track where the Porsche Cups are going to be praying that they meet the TCX traffic, as it's going to be the easiest opportunity to get the pass, that and the start-finish straight. So this track can be quite twisty, quite hard to make your way through the traffic. As Yaram gets the drive out of the final corner down towards the start-finish line. And we will get to see what our lap time is going to be looking like for the TCXs. It's an opening salvo of a 2:11. Oscar Yaram rode closely behind by his championship challenger, Andre Thierry. Just 1/10 of a second behind, so it is close at the top of the TCX field as well. Hopefully we'll get a close race in both of our classes this week, as it was a little bit of a snooze fest for the BMWs last round out at Mazzano, as Thierry losing considerable amount of time through the arena section. Going to have to try and make up that pace somewhere else. As it was Flint into the first corner, currently sitting on a 2:12.0. Just over a second off of our class pole sitters pace. As Giovanni Michelini is not too far behind Flint, could be scrapping over P3 on the grid tonight. Down in P26. P4 in class, also P5 in class now, is at a Kalaskan, running that very distinctive Splatoon livery. Carlos Jimenez is in P6 in class. With Marco Lorenzon. P7 in class, running P28 at the moment, is just over a tenth off of Jimenez. As Oscar Yaram, I think, making the same mistake we saw from left at the chicane, and that was a substantial, looking like it was going to be a substantial improvement for Yaram. And Oscar Yaram going to have 2 more attempts at a flying lap, as are a number of our drivers currently lapping. So yet to be decided. Still just over a tenth between P1 and P2, as Lennon Bromfield in the Tic Tac livery. That is a very fetching livery on that TCX car. Currently P4 in class. That is a 2-minute 11.7, 7 tenths off of our provisional pole sitter. And Bromfield getting well out of the way, as Yaram improving on this lap, as is Jules Frint. Thierry not quite finding the pace at the moment. Over down our order, we've got Max Davies sitting in P33, or 2:13.0, and Alex Perry in the Shrek livery. Currently, down in P35 is our commentator manager, Benjamin Odin Vedvik, not doing the commentators especially proud this evening. As up at the top of our TCX field, Oscar Yaram looking to take the chicane a little more tidily as he throws it into the final corner, standing on the throttle, and will be a slight improvement here for Yaram, but not up to the potential that we saw earlier in this lap. So still 1 more attempt for a flight, as long as they've got the fuel for Oscar Yaram. And Andre Thierry just behind has got an opportunity here. Find a little bit of pace over the championship competitor. Give you a live update on the times at the moment. Neither driver improving, but Thierry on the cusp does need to find out. Well, now actually looking like just over 2.5 tenths there for Thierry to find. As Bruce Flint behind, also finding some pace on this lap. Really wringing the neck of the car. You can see the drastic change of angle going through the arena section. Jules Flint really sending it on this lap. As Max Davies, Jimenez, Kalaskan, and Denka all in the pits, having finished their qualifying session. First of our front runners to cross the line will be Oscar Yaram, who's found some time in the final sector as they throw it around the final corner. This must have been the part of the last lap slipped away from them, as finding a substantial amount of time is Oscar Yaram, stamping his authority on this session with almost half a second ahead of Andre Thierry at the end. Oscar Yaram with a phenomenal lap there to close out the session as Jules Flint abandons his attempt. We'll see just a few more drivers complete final flying lap of the session. Giovanni Michelini crosses the line, moves up into P4 in class. I think that's going to just about do it for our improvers. As Marco Lorenzo could find a good number of positions here. The midfield in the TCX pack considerably close, and this could see a big jump for Lorenzo. They jump up to P8 in class. Brings us to the end of our qualifying session, and we wait for our drivers to line up on the grid. Get this race started. In the meantime, we will run through our starting order for tonight's race. Starting with pole position for tonight's race will be Matthew Parry. Currently sitting P3 in the championship behind Joe Wilson and Johan Leff. We'll have a clean run down into turn one. We'll have that optimal inside line for the first corner. Trying to challenge him into that first corner will be Joe Wilson, number 64 car, who is leading the championship, having won both of the previous rounds. Johan Leff starting in P3, and I have confirmed, and there is no custom livery for Johan Leff. I can't tell if those are little bits of colour on the livery or if that's just reflection. But no, just running a plain back car today. Maybe he didn't appreciate me asking him to make another livery. Oh well, P3 for Leff. In P4 we have got Jens Nielsen, and in P5 we have got John Sawyer on the 110 car, starting alongside Jerome Eckhard. In P7 is our favourite train conductor, Balázs Fejhit. He's starting alongside Iridius Partes. In P9 is Sven Jarovic. They'll be starting alongside Lars Ellers. Maya van Dijk down in P11 in the BWT livery will be starting alongside this car of Slavik Klinger. Ron Moore starting in P13 alongside Mr. Beloved Madrid himself, Ewan Topley. P15 is the Linux livery. We'll be very grateful for running Linux and missing out on all of Friday's problems. Is Fernandez Nitro, starting alongside Jordi Cano. In P17 is Marek Schittel, starting alongside the livery thief that is Martin Kuij. Jarno Briznik is in P19, starting alongside Jakub Borovic. Andrew Eccleston, P21, and rounds out our Porsche Cup field. And starting alongside Andrew will be the TCX of Oscar Yaram, and he'll be starting ahead of Andre Thierry, who lines up in the second row of the TCX field with Jules Flint, Giovanni Michelini, and P25, P4 in class. Will be starting alongside the Tic Tac liveried Lennon Bromfield. In P27 is Anthony Victor Chappelle, who I am informed that his livery is not one of Jules Flint, but of course is saying this guy has been beaten by Jules Flint. And I think it was as part of a bet that Anthony Victor Chappelle is running this livery. In P28 is Max Davies, with Marco Lorenzo in P29. Carlos Jimenez will be starting alongside Lorenzo. Behind them will be Atta Katiskan, in the bright platoon livery. We'll be starting alongside Aaron Denker. Wait, there's a... I'm getting confused now. They're moving around. I'm not quite sure which order people are going to start in, but we'll see. In P31, possibly, this might be correct, is Alex Perry. And in P34, Mike Arminski. I'm going to be honest here, I'm sort of losing track. The standings are jumping around quite a bit as people keep passing each other on the formation lap. In P35 is Benjamin Odin Vedvik. And finally, rounding out our order is David Patello. We'll turn our attention to the front of the field. And Matthew Parry leads our cars 2x2 down the long back straight. Joe Wilson just showing his intention, creeping himself alongside Matthew Parry. Drivers filter their way through the final chicane. Always a little bit of a scrappy end of the formation lap here at the Nürburgring as they have to navigate two quite sharp corners. As everyone gets themselves into position. The BMW field just coming into view now as we come down, stepping straight the way. The green flag waves, and it is a good start from Matthew Parry as Joe Wilson gets into the slipstream and puts himself towards the inside for turn one. We go down into the braking zone. Matthew Parry firmly ahead but running deep into the corner, and Joe Wilson marginally ahead, but as they come into the second corner of the arena section, side by side they go. Johan Leff looking over the back of this pair as well as they come through the next of the left-handers. Joe Wilson getting himself a little bit out of sorts, dropping back down into P3, and Johan Leff going on the offensive as they filter their way through, looking reasonably clean in the background. We take a look back, and it is Andre Thierry who's leading the BMW TCX class. Not quite sure what happened to Oscar Yaram, but it is Thierry in P1 for the BMWs at the moment. Action at the top of both of our classes as Matthew Parry leads the way ahead of Johan Leff and Joe Wilson as we descend down into the second sector of this racetrack. We'll just wait for everyone to filter their way through that, and then we will bring up the timings as ACC does like to mess up the timing tower if we don't have drivers passing the sector line. And we've got a couple of drive-throughs for full starts, and there explains how Andre Thierry got himself up into P1 in class, and well, it's going to be a short-lived P1 as he's going to have to be taking an unscheduled trip through pit lane on top of his scheduled trip through pit lane. As a reminder to any of you who are new to the series, this is a 30-minute race with a single mandatory pit stop, 25 seconds fixed refueling time, and the option of taking new tyres should you wish to. As we descend down into first corner for the second time of asking, Johan Leff all over the back of Matthew Parry as Andre Thierry has to take his pit stop early. And Matthew Parry getting all over that apex curb. And now under pressure from Johan Leff. Leff not able to get close enough there, that bump over the apex curb, but not unsettling Matthew Parry enough. But Johan Leff is sniffing all over the back of that Martini liveried car ahead. And there's a top group is looking incredibly close. We can turn our attention further down the field to see what is happening other races, as Oscar Yaran now back in the lead of the TCX class, hasn't dropped from field. Still sitting 0.9 seconds behind. And then we've got Jules Fint a further second back. Got plenty to play for in this race. And he's down in P27. Giovanni Michelini, with plenty of company behind, is leading a whole train of cars up through the Schumacher S's as they all peer into view. It looks like Lorenzon wanting to try and make a move around the outside of Michelini, and looks like Jimenez is going to try and follow him through. A little bit of door banging there. They'll make it through the corner, and now it's going to be Kalaskan looking all over the back of Michelini. They come down towards the chicane. Surely Kalaskan's not going to try and send one up the inside. Or he thought about it. He very much thought about it. Ends up backing out just at the last moment, and Giovanni Michelini holding on to P29 for now. Back at the front of our field, Matthew Parry still holding on ahead of Johan Leff. These two have pulled out a gap of 2 seconds to Joe Wilson, so I'm not sure if there's been a mistake in there for Joe Wilson. He now finds himself under pressure from Jens Nielsen and John Sawyer. Having Wilson and Nielsen close together on track is going to become a little bit of a tongue twister if I'm not careful. But these trio extremely close, and John Sawyer looking to be on the attack. As we head down the hill, there's Jakubowicz in P14 also, with a cluster of cars close behind. As Frank de Moor gets up into that slipstream. We're down towards the chicane. Is de Moor going to have a look? Not close enough to attempt anything under braking as they snake their way through and onto another lap. Front of the field, Matthew Parry now with a gap of 1.2 seconds back to Johan Leff, building up a slightly more comfortable lead here, as both of these drivers looking to recover their championship points at the moment. This order we find ourselves in right now be very nice for a competitive championship. Going into pit road to serve as mandatory pit stop. As of yet, we've had a few drivers make their way through the pit lane in order to serve drive-through penalties, but no one making their mandatory pit stops just yet. But I think that might be Prix being one of our first stoppers, who has been stopped in their box for a long time. Also, I believe Topley, I'm not sure if they got a drive through. But Topley has spent over a minute stopped in their box, obviously to repair damage, now finding themselves over a lap down on the rest of the field, so their race not going as planned. Lars Fahey currently ahead of Nürburgring. Otto's dropping down, and what has happened here? Oh, okay, well we caught the tail end of that, and that is a four-wheel drift off the circuit. Looks like that's at the top of the Schumacher S's. And it is rejoining the circuit. Actually no, it's top of the hill actually. But Otto's losing a whole heap of positions, now down into P17, just ahead of Briznek. as Konarevich and Prix here going side by side through the arena section. It will be Blashfey here with the inside line. Will want to try and get out ahead and be able to sweep ahead of his opponent. Just about holds on P6 for now. But these two racing incredibly closely. Something is certainly going funky with my timings app, as it looks like apparently loads of people have lost the position and Johan Leff has moved up to second. Don't believe that for an instant, because he's been there all race. Gap now between our lead pair now at 1.2 seconds. Matthew Parry seemingly with the pace advantage was only holds the fastest lap of the race and also is the fastest driver on the last tour of the circuit. So Matthew Parry just eking out his advantage here at this circuit. Joe Wilson holding on confidently ahead of Jens Nielsen and John Sawyer. It's the battle for the final podium position. Down our order in P13, Lars Ellers has got Jordi Cano and Borovic following him closely. Kieran Partes also part of this train as Jens Nielsen diving into pit road. An early stop for Nielsen. 10 minutes into this race, still 20 minutes remaining, and for these drivers they will not be taking new tyres, so no consideration there of how far you're taking the tyres into this race. But we know that once you put a heat cycle through these tyres, when you pit, can harm the tyres on the second stint on the same tyre. So it remains to be seen how that will affect Nielsen and a lot of these early stoppers. Blashfey here still holding on to P5, or it will be a net P6 as long as Nielsen doesn't get held up too drastically. As Laurent de Moor all over the back of Nitro. As Nitro goes defensive, takes the inside line. Looking like Laurent de Moor, plenty of grip there, able to wiggle around in the mirrors on exit. Needs to put that grip to good use though. No use just having the grip through the corner if you can't make use of it on the exit. And as we come to the end of another lap, Nitro holding on to P10, Marfield spreading out just a little bit behind. Leka Borovic still with Patrick's close in behind. As still, I was going to say Chatil making an overtake, but I think this is still recovering past the TCX traffic, so never mind that. As Polaris Fahit still holding on ahead of Konarevich. And behind them, Meyer van Dijk has caught to the back of Slavek Klinger. Are we going to see another bold and brave move by Meyer van Dijk? We saw a couple of exceptional passes around the outside last round out at Misano. And what has the WT livery driver got for us this week here at the Nürburgring? As we look out towards the hairpin, finger going to the inside, taking all of that camber in around the corner. As we see a number of drivers from the Porsche Cup field taking early pit stops, and this is putting them in amongst the TCX traffic. I'm not sure if that would be the optimal strategy to go for, so I wonder if a number of these drivers are being forced into early pit stops. And up at the front of the field, there was a race into the pit road between Matthew Parry and Johan Leff. Okay, that is one hell of a terrible heli-cam shot. We'll ignore that. That was absolutely useless. I was hoping to go and get a replay of how they entered the pit because there was nothing between them as they came into pit road. This is going to be the battle of the pit stops, as Joe Wilson, Matthew Parry and Johan Leff all enter the pits on the same lap. We'll return to them once they emerge back out on track. But at the moment it is Florent de Moor. Oh no, sorry, not Florent de Moor. It is Partes looking to make... Oh, and wow, is that Julie Cano just absolutely parking it there on Partes? As our race leaders now re-emerge onto the circuit, Matthew Parry considerably ahead. So time stopped for all three, 27 seconds. So all of them getting stopped well in the box. But now Johan Leff down in P12. Not sure what's happened to Leff. I only suspect there was something that happened in the pits. Okay. Oh, that is heavy damage to the front of the car of Johan Leff. So didn't quite see what happened there. Went into the pits. Didn't go back far enough for the replay, but there's heavy damage on that car. I wonder, that is the car 101. See if I can find and see what happened to car 101. I cannot. Never mind then. No drivers taking tyres, and that all was stopped for 27 seconds in their box. So perfect stops for the three of them. I imagine they must have just... Well, actually, no, sorry. 32 seconds in the box for Leff. So maybe he did take tyres or repairing damage that sustained entering into the pit lane. Sorry, I did not notice that before. 32 seconds left in the box for Leff. Put in good way back from our race leader, as right there I saw the timer ticking over for Matthew Parry, but it's just because he's passing people in the pit lane. Nothing to worry about there. As Matthew Parry having to make his way around a very wide lap marker. Jens Nielsen is back close with Joe Wilson, and we are into the portion of the race which Yuki Tsunoda would call traffic paradise, as TCX cars now being well mixed in with our Porsche Cup class. Nitro and Borovic, the only two drivers in this front group of cars who have not pitted yet, or they'll be in to serve their mandatory pit stops within the next couple of laps. Wilson also closing in on Matthew Parry. Parry, who's got damage to the front and rear of that car and did not seem to repair it during their pit stop. As Jens Nielsen makes his way past Joe Wilson. What happened here? Was that just Joe Wilson getting caught out by the TCX. Oh, Joe Wilson out onto the gravel, and that's how he lost that position. Jens Nielsen up into P3, or P2. Our order as it stands, Matthew Parry ahead of Jens Nielsen. Joe Wilson with Johan left, just a second back from Joe Wilson now. Looking to try and recover something from this race. As Meyer van Dijk and Laurent de Moor going side by side, as looking like the BMW there opting to completely cut the chicane, and with the two Porsche Cups barreling in side by side, perhaps the wise course of action. Though looking like there might be some damage on that TCX, as it is going very, very slowly at the moment. Laurent de Moor, a well-judged dive up the inside and into P13. And now this train behind P11 runner of Fernandez Nitro, who has served their mandatory pit stop in this race, is not currently in P2, as our timing tower will suggest, down in P11. And also carrying a considerable amount of damage on that car. We've seen quite a bit of damage on cars. We haven't actually seen the incidents that cause it, but yeah, considerable amount of damage going around. As Johan left now, catching up to Joe Wilson, and after that earlier mistake from Joe Wilson, he will be nervous as he's approaching more traffic. Actually, not approaching more traffic on the circuit. Actually, has got plenty of clear air in front of him, so. No, can carry on pushing ahead of left, knowing that he doesn't have any cars to worry about, at least for the foreseeable future. But Johan left getting closer and closer as we go through this portion of the race. And let's see if we have any more action behind, as Florent de Moor and Meyer van Dijk going wheel to wheel yet again. Will van Dijk go to the inside? Laurent de Moor trying to cover the inside, as Van Dijk having to settle back in behind, as the BMW of Giovanni Michelini getting in the way of Slavek Klinger, and this is a real tight tussle behind the number 666 car. And yet again, Slavek Klinger meeting a TCX on the apex for a third time. And a little bit of bumping there. Meyer van Dijk knocking Florent de Moor through the corner. Backs off afterwards, doesn't want to gain a position from contact. And in the end, no harm, no foul, as the rest of the Porsche Cup field behind makes their way past the car of Kalaskan. There's a little bit of a snap there from Laurent de Moor, and I had to correct the car, nearly going into the back of Slavek Klinger. As Florent de Moor making heavy contact there with the back of Slavek Klinger, and pitches the car around facing the wrong way. Is Klinger able to get going again? But lost out a number of positions there, and I imagine they will not be too happy with that contact from Florent de Moor. And one person who will be happy with that outcome, though, will be Meyer van Dijk, who is up into P12, having been gifted 2 positions there. Back towards the front of our field. Battle for P4 between Joe Wilson and Johan Leff. Both of these drivers out of the positions where we'd usually expect to see them fighting. Matthew Parry now clear in what is provisional lead. So this is the battle actually for provisional, also for the net P3 in this race. So these two battling out over a podium come the end of this race. As a reminder, Borovic will either make their mandatory pit stop or face a 90-second penalty come the end of the race. So I would advise they serve their pit stop. As Joe Wilson getting a little bit loose through the hairpin. We head towards Schumacher S's. 6 minutes remaining here for Johan Leff to try and make up another position. All of this is going out in the championship as long as these drivers, if these drivers do not have a worse result this season, this race won't end up counting for much anyway between these two, as we do have 2 drop rounds. But as there's always a chance of absences or incidents, every position will count at this stage in the championship. So we do keep checking to see if we've got any action in the BMWs. Well, talking of action, Maya Van Dijk getting very loose coming out over the crest of the hill and using the runoff, and is now under attack from Chatil behind. Like Maya Van Dijk getting slightly somehow spiritually distracted by the chat of this broadcast, perhaps. Holding on to P11 ahead of Shaquille and Ellis. Ellis trying to go around the outside of Shatil. This is a bold move. They can keep it side by side into the start of the arena section. And Shatil and Ellis close, wheel to wheel, door to door battling here. Shatil needs to get himself back alongside if he wants to hold his position, but just like Ellis, into P12 in this race. Good move into the arena, held it, got the position where it counted. And our attention back to the battle for P3 as Borovic still yet to pit out of the lead of this race. Is, I guess, lapping quite nicely, is yet to find any real traffic, so I guess Borovic will just keep lapping until the pit window closes. Actually, that checking of P3, to get distracted from the battle over the lead of this race, as Jens Nielsen is caught right up to Matthew Parry. Not sure what damage is being carried by the number 85 car. You can see the scuffs on the front and the back. I'm not sure if that is costing any aerodynamic performance for our net race leader. But as it stands, Jens Nielsen just 0.4 seconds behind and on a charge at the moment. In the background, Joe Wilson and Johan Leff, just 5 seconds behind this battle. With just 2 minutes 20 seconds left on the clock. We are on the penultimate lap of this race. I would hope Borovic is going to dive into the pit lane. Let's see. Borovic is not going to have a chance to go around this circuit again without going into the pits. So let's just make sure. And yes, Borovic does peel into the pit lane. So panic over. Borovic is serving their mandatory pit stop for this race and will not be netting themselves a 90-second penalty. As we head on to the final lap of the race, Matthew Parry finds himself back in the lead of the race with Barvik taking a very late pit stop. And this is a one-lap shootout now between Parry and Nielsen. Right, who will take the glory? Jens Nielsen using all of the track. It's closer than they were last lap around. This could come down to the wire as Jens Nielsen tucking it right up behind Matthew Parry. Will they find an opportunity for a lunge somewhere on this lap? They head down towards the hairpin. Does Matthew Parry see the need to go defensive? Where is it in? Takes the camber. Then we climb up through the S's and we approach onto the back of yet more traffic. And this is exactly what Matthew Parry would have been hoping to avoid. Right at the end of the race comes the TCX traffic. Should be able to get clear of this very easily before the chicane. They won't impede his race too much. But now, Jens Nielsen is just hoping for a small mistake from Matthew Parry. They make their way through the chicane. Matthew Parry going extremely defensive. And in the end, Jens Nielsen not able to do anything about it on the final lap. He gave it every possible attempt, but it's Matthew Parry who takes the race win, led by Jens Nielsen. Joe Wilson holds on to P3 ahead of Johan Leff. Great tight battle there between all of our top four. As John Sawyer brings it home in P5. So closely by Balazs Fahir and Sven Jarovic. Jerome Eckhard comes home in P8 with Glennis Nitro in P9. And rounding out the top 10 in the Porsche Cup field will be Maya van Dijk. As we turn our attention over to Oscar Yaram at the head of the BMW TCX field. Not as dominant a race this time around as we saw from the Yaram at Mazzano, but still a 5.6 second lead over Bromfield. And Oscar Yaram takes yet another win here in the Pitskill.io Porsche Cup and BMW M2 Multiclass. As well, Eccleston did not pit and picks up a 130 second penalty for their troubles, so even more than I originally suggested. Bromfield bringing it home in P2 in class with Anthony Victor Chappelle in P3. Marco Lorenzo down P4 in class with Jimenez, Alaskan, Max Davies, Andre Thierry managing to recover to an in-class P9 after that early drive-through penalty, and Giovanni Michelini rounding out the top 10. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That was quite an exciting race in the end, with battles well at the top of the Porsche Cup field. Unfortunately, nothing quite as close within the BMWs, but hopefully our highlights will pick up some interesting battles from there. All remains to be said is do check out Pitskill.io if you are looking for some close competitive sim racing in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Referral link can be found in the description below. Get yourself over there and sign up as many races as you can. And do check out the Pitskill.io Twitch and YouTube channels where you can see a number of other series being broadcast. Tomorrow night will be the return of the BMW Multiclass, which has got GT3, GT4 and TCX cars all on the same grid. And then tune into the Pitskill.io Twitch channel on Wednesday when our founder and owner, Terry Farish, will be hosting the GT3 Elite, our flagship series. And those will both be the Nürburgring. We'll get to the next week when all of our series, including the Porsche Cup and TCX Multiclass, will be heading to the Red Bull Ring. You tune in for that as well, right here, same time next week. And it remains me to say thank you very much for watching, everyone. I've been Roy Waller. Do like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the broadcast we had for you tonight. And until next time, I will leave you with the highlights from tonight's race. Very good rest of your day. Goodbye.